I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go, and I welcome you to join me each week at this time as we explore places to go and things to do. The subject of performing arts centers is one that is of vast interest to people in our area because there are so many opportunities to see great shows and great performers. And one of the really great places is the Stamford Center for the Arts in, of course, Stamford, Connecticut. Today, my guest is Richard Pheneger, who is the Director of Marketing and Media Relations at the Stamford Center. Richard, thanks for coming down here to talk to us today. What do we have in store? Do you have something special in store at Stamford?
Well, we always have something special in store for you, Norman.
Otherwise, you'd have empty theaters,
sure, right? And we're always pleased when you get a chance to come up and see what we're doing. But as you know, we opened this season with the American premiere of the Royal National Theatre of Great Britain's production, The Madness of George III. And I guess it's been almost a year ago that Alex was down here as your guest.
Alex Cohn.
And I came down. Alex is the executive producer, and it is through his influence and his contacts that the Royal National Theatre of Great Britain decided that they would open their new show at our theatre rather than New York City or any other theatre.
Let's talk about the theatre for a moment.
Okay.
And physically what it looks like.
Well, first of all,
it's magnificent, and let's talk about the setting, and then we'll talk about some of the people.
There are two things involved. Let me just sort of set it for people who might not know. Stamford Center for the Arts is like an umbrella organization. We like to think of it as a Lincoln Center in Stamford. On a much smaller scale, only rather than going to Avery Fisher or the Vivian Beaumont or the Met or the State Theatre or whatever and just go across the plaza from one to the other, we actually have two facilities and three theatres. We have Rich Forum, which is the newest theater that has Truglia Theater, and then it also has a little black box studio. And then down the street, 5 blocks away, we have the Palace Theater, which is the typical restored 1920s vaudeville house that is restored to its splendor, and it's just fabulous. So we run a variety of different productions between those two.
Let's talk about the Rich Forum.
The Rich Forum.
Which is beautiful. And we do have a wonderful illustration of it here.
This is the newest facility. This is our second season that we have been in it. It has a 757-seat theater, which is a very intimate theater. We had Tommy Toon there doing Tommy Toon moonlighting, and he just couldn't get over how intimate the theater was because he has such a rapport with his audience, and he actually has had a time in his show where he would take question and answers from the audience, and it was just like, sitting next to him and talking to him.
I did see that, one of his performances, and I have to say that I thought it would be good, but it was great.
It was
just the fact that you could bring him there in an intimate setting such as this, and his rapport with the audience, bringing up people on the stage to dance with him. Unbelievable.
Some of the women in the audience just had the thrill of their lifetime in being able to literally get up on stage and dance with him and become part of the show.
Let's talk about the theater now.
Okay.
It was designed by...
It was designed by an architect whose last name is Weber. He's in New Haven. And one of the things that you think about if you go in and you watch what takes place in that little picture frame that's on stage, and that's what we refer to as the proscenium arch. And he designed this particular theater so that the people who are walking by on the street or driving by in their cars on the street actually look through a wall of glass and look inside to see the people in the lobby. So those people on the street are looking through a proscenium arch to see the people in the theater getting ready to go in the theater.
So actually, as we look at this, we actually can see from the outside a proscenium arch.
Yes.
And the
and
lobby,
what amounts to as a set.
The lobby is a set in itself.
Because you can go in 2 different staircases, and you can go up on the upper level to see the art gallery that we have. There's an arch that sort of frames the whole entrance into the main theater. It's called the Borglum Arch. Gutzon Borglum was the one who was the sculptor for Mount Rushmore, who lived in Stamford. He donated this arch to the city of Stamford in 1914, and it was placed in exactly the same position that it was in when he donated it in 1914. Of course, it wasn't. This is a recreation of it because it had, had been pretty sad state of disrepair by the time the new building was up.
So even before you get inside, the setting, the entire setup is great. And then you just mentioned in passing the gallery. You do have an art gallery.
We have an art gallery that we had a Borglum exhibit of Gutzon and his brother Solon. Right now, we're running an exhibit of Al Hirschfeld, the one who chronicled Broadway for over 60 years.
From the private collection of Alexander Cohn.
That's right. Who is the executive producer. And then when we have Al Pacino in, we're going to be doing a retrospective of Al Pacino's memorabilia, posters, programs, awards, and all that sort of stuff. So it's an opportunity for people to come to the theater, come a little bit early, see something art-wise, look at the theater, get acquainted with it, and then go in and sit down and have a wonderful evening.
What I like about it is, aside, even before you get there, first of all, it's so easy to get to because it's right off the Connecticut Turnpike.
2 blocks away from I-95.
And parking is there's plenty of free parking around without any difficulty at all.
Right.
And then once you get inside, the caliber of what you're doing is great. Alexander Cohn, he was on this program. He's a legend in the theater.
Oh, he and his wife Hildy did the Tony Award telecast for 20 years. You remember the shows that they used to have, The Night of 100 Stars, where they would roll the red carpet down Fifth Avenue and everybody would walk from the hotels down to Radio City. He and Hildy came up with that, and they ran it for 3 different seasons. And I was just with him in London when we went over to see The Madness of George III when we knew it was coming. And, they treat him like royalty over there. He has had as many hits over there as he has had on Broadway. So he's well known on both sides of the Atlantic.
Must be great prestige for the theater to have him as its producing director.
Without a doubt.
And of course, he attracts top-flight talent.
Everything that we have had has come to the theater because of a contact that he has had with them. It is not unusual to be sitting in his office and say, well, get Chris Reeve on the phone for me. And hi, Chris, this is Alex. Da, 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 da. And then that's how we came up with the thing of having Chris Reeve come to...
At which end of the phone is Superman?
Well, I think Chris Reeve is trying to do as many different things as he possibly can now to get rid of that image.
Yes, well,
so
it wasn't bad for him.
No, not at all. I'm sure it was very lucrative for him.
So you have... December is a great month because
December is fabulous.
You've got some great things coming up. But let's talk about some of the things that you have done and you are doing and get into some of that.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the month of December, or I'd say the holidays that are coming up. It isn't too often that anybody has an opportunity to see the Rocky Horror Show. It's a cult film. People go to the films with their umbrellas and with their bags of rice and with their pieces of toast and all this sort of stuff, and they repeat the lines with the actors on the screen and shoot their squirt guns and what have you. We are doing the actual stage production. We have the creators from London who just did the most recent revival over there, and they're coming to our theater at the end of November to do the actual stage production of the Rocky Horror Show. An 8 o'clock performance and a midnight performance. And this is the actual beginning. This was the beginning of the film. And
the film was recently shown on local television.
That's right.
And they did a very interesting job in showing it and then showing some of the audience reaction as well.
Well, I think in order to participate in it, you have to have a really good audience who knows. And it's not unusual to be sitting there and have the person next to you telling the lines or repeating the lines as the people, as the stage crew or the cast is doing it. And then I suppose our biggest coup of the season happens to be the whole month of December with Al Pacino as the Academy Award winner for Scent of a Woman. And this is Alexander Cohen again. He was the one who had the contact, and he knows that Al likes to do things a little different. He just has Carlito's Way that's coming out, and he has just finished doing a little cameo thing on another film that's coming up, and he contacted Al and asked him if he wouldn't be interested in coming out to see our theater.
He's doing
two completely different productions. One is called Chinese Coffee by Ira Lewis. It's just a 2-character play.
The scene shows him from...
This is Chinese Coffee, yes, on this one. The other character that will be playing opposite him in Chinese Coffee is Ben Gazzara. a fabulous actor. A lot of people will recognize the name from television and from major motion pictures and what have you. And then the other play that he's going to be doing with us is Oscar Wilde's Salome. So this is a real stretch because these couldn't be two more diverse roles. And you can see it from the photographs that we have. He did do these two particular productions last season as a special benefit for Circle in the Square, but it was such a short time, limited run. And in this particular case, what we're doing is we're presenting him, and we're going back to actually a modified repertory schedule, which means in one given week he'll do 4 performances of Chinese Coffee, 3 performances of Salome. Then the following week it'll be 4 performances of Salome and 3 performances of Chinese Coffee.
Why does a star of this caliber choose to do 8 performances a week, if that's what he's doing?
He's going to do 7 performances a week. And this is very demanding, but I think he likes to get back to that response from the audience. Because any film person will tell you that when you're working, in front of cameras and you've got 40 people in the crew milling around and you're trying to do something that's very intimate, sometimes it's hard for some actors to make that adjustment. Whereas what he's going to be doing on stage, and if you really look at his background, he has won Obies, he has won Tony Awards before. He's got a really fabulous background in live theater. And with all the stuff that he has done in film, it's a wonderful combination, and we're glad to get him back to the stage.
That's some December at Stamford, without doubt.
Well, and not only that, in addition to that, down the street while we're running Al Pacino, we'll be doing a production of The Nutcracker. We're going to be having some of the people from New York City Ballet coming in to do the principal parts. And in this particular case, we have Darcy Kistler and Damien Wozel. They're going to be the 2 featured dancers in The Nutcracker. And there is also a film with Macaulay Culkin that is coming out that was shot at SUNY Purchase last year. And these same 2 dancers are 2 of the featured dancers from the New York City Ballet in the film. So we're quite fortunate to have them.
The thing that I see and admire a great deal at the Stamford Center is the variety.
That's it.
And just already we've discussed so many things that are different. And I suppose that's part of the pacing. I suppose that's what you have to do in order to attract diverse audiences. Well,
not everybody is a theater buff. Not everybody is a dance buff. So what we try to do as a performing arts center, it's bring in as many of the different performing arts as we possibly can. And we had George Carlin earlier in the season as part of the comedy bit, and one of the other things that I'm sure you will be interested in. Steve Allen is coming back with 2 of his old cohorts to recreate Steve Allen's Tonight Show on the stage of the Palace Theater in the spring.
What a marvelous idea. A year or so ago, I saw Steve Allen do a performance at the 92nd Street Y, and his entire performance was him responding to questions from the audience. They had people who filled out cards as they came in, and they were collected. And he got up there and he looked at the cards, and that's what he did for an hour and a half, and just stood there and answered questions in his great ad-libbing ability. He's such a talent, isn't he?
He's the father of all the talk stuff that we see on television now, and I think that this is going to be a nice getting back to the original, because Bill Dana will be with him, and for the life of me I can't remember who the other one is, but Marilyn May is going to be there, and the Steve Allen Jazzmen, the backup band, and Marilyn is quite a well-known vocalist, so it's just going to be an exact recreation of the Steve Allen Tonight Show on the stage of the Palace Theater.
It's certainly variety. And then you've got something else coming up, which is a subject that is very dear to my heart, and that's the subject of magic.
Oh, yes.
I have, on this program, done 2 programs with magicians on.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
From the local chapter of the Society of American Magicians. I'm a little bit of a magician myself, so I appreciate it.
Well, then you'll have to come see Harry Blackstone.
Well, I know that Harry Blackstone, in my opinion, is the best magician working today.
Yes. The most thorough, and I think one of the most theatrical as well. And this is part of our December thing, too. We try to do as much as we can to bring families into the theater, because this is one of the things that we find that, when you come on press nights to see what's going on and everything, and I always have an opportunity to stand there and look at the audience, and one of the things that we have found that the theater audience, performing arts audience, is really getting older, and there are not enough young people coming up the ranks to fill in that void. And when you looked at so many young people are playing Nintendo or have their own little home or their pocket-sized games and all that sort of stuff, we try to do things where parents will bring their children, because we always operate on the premise that once we get a young person into that theater and they see something like a Harry Blackstone, or they see an Al Pacino, or they see the Nutcracker, or whatever we're doing, it may take a while, but eventually they're going to start coming back to the live theater because of that magic, that suspension of disbelief that we were talking about earlier before we actually went on. There are lots of things. So you come in and you watch Harry Blackstone and you realize, oh my God, I'm so impressed with all of that. But then you realize there has to be a lot more than just a sleight of hand, that there are other things that make this happen. But while we're watching it, it is so exciting and we're so taken by the moment and get involved in it that we suspend that disbelief and we are really taken in by the whole thing.
I have to, just a little personal note here, that a long time ago, I saw his father.
Oh, yes.
And actually, it really increased my interest and got me to get involved. But some of the things that Harry Blackstone Jr. does are exactly the same as the wonderful stage effects that I saw his father do. His father perfected. And he's just a master of it. It's just a great show, and I certainly am looking forward to seeing that. You talk about the audience. The audience, of course, is not just Stamford and not just Connecticut, because Stamford is really so close to Westchester and to the upper portions of the Bronx and Riverdale, where this program is seen. It's convenient to get to. I suppose as convenient as going south to Manhattan. It's as
without a
convenient
doubt.
to go north to Stamford.
We got a lot of people who come to see us from New York City. We're 45 minutes from 45th Street. And that's not bad at all. And we're, as I told you, we're 2 blocks away from I-95, which is the Connecticut Turnpike, and maybe 15 minutes away from the Merritt Parkway, which is at the other end of Stamford. So it couldn't be more convenient. If people want to come by train, it's Metro North on the New Haven line, and we're 5 minutes away from the train station. So it's the theater, especially the new one, is so centrally located that if you have any real desire to see any of the events that we have at the Stamford Center for the Arts, Rich Forum, or Palace Theater, I mean, it couldn't be better for you.
Is there a certain type of audience? Could you define the audience in any way that you get at the Stamford Center? I feel sometimes if I go to other performing arts centers in the area, that there is a particular look or feel of the audience. Is there something that you people say, this is our audience and this is the kind of programming that we have to do for them?
We know that our audience will drive from a distance of maybe 25 to 35 miles, which gives us a wide range. The other thing, we have a pretty good idea that Alex found when he started scheduling everything for the Rich Forum last year, and I believe he talked about this when he was here, that we offered just 4 shows at the Rich Forum last season, 3 of which had been running in New York for quite a while, and then the 4th one was a new show that he and Hildy were going to produce that was about to go into New York, or had plans of going into New York. He did not realize that in this area that the avid theater goers had already gone into New York to see 3 of those 4 shows. So the subscriptions were not quite as high as we had actually anticipated, which is the reason that this year he sought out the Royal National Theatre of Great Britain, because nobody else could see it other than Stamford or Brooklyn Academy or Baltimore or Boston, and then it went home. Tommy Tune Moonlighting is totally different from Tommy Tune Tonight that he had been doing on the road, so this was something new for us. The Christopher Reeve thing that we're going to be doing in March, the Al Pacino month that we're doing of both of these shows together. The only thing that is going to be similar to what we did last year was Sisters Rosenzweig, and that tour is just being put together, and it's going to have Marriott Hartley in it, Charles Ciaffi, and Richard Frank. So that's the only one that, will maybe enough people saw it in New York that we might not get the audience that we had actually anticipated.
I want to get into some of that, but first I just want to say that my guest today, who was giving us these wonderful insights into Stamford, is Richard Pheneger, who was the Director of Marketing and Media Relations at the Stamford Center for the Performing Arts. And I do want to get into the subject of what you specifically do at the theater. The behind the scenes has always fascinated me, and I think people like to know what makes something tick. What is involved in promoting, really, a theater, a center?
In my particular situation, as the marketing person, there are two of us on the staff, and we actually have to sit down and decide, okay, we're bringing in a Blackstone. How can we get in contact with people like yourself who are magicians? There are magician societies, magician organizations, all within that 25 to 35 mile radius that we were talking about, to let them know that Blackstone is coming in, and maybe he would do something special for them, or maybe we could do something special for them, go backstage and meet him, or whatever the case may be. So we do that for each and every one of the events that is coming in. We have had the Balanchine thing that we were talking about, the Nutcracker. Dance is probably not one of our strongest suits as far as being able to attract an audience, but that doesn't prevent us from continuing to do it, because we know that we have to educate our audience. And a lot of people still feel that the best place to see dance is in New York. Well, we're bringing New York City Ballet out to Stamford, and they don't have to make that trip into New York. So it's the press releases, it's keeping everybody notified on what's going on, and we have to do it certainly in much greater time than people. We can't say, oh, we've got something coming in tomorrow, we've got to get a release out today. We operate on a schedule of maybe 8 to 10 weeks prior to each one of the individual events.
You know, people say to me often, how do you know about all the things that are happening? Well, I read it in a lot of newspapers. I do read a lot in different media. I do get information in the mail. I'm on a lot of mailing lists. And I assume that getting the information out is one of the most complicated, difficult things that you have to do.
It really is. Because, I mean, there are so many different things going on. You have to make sure that the information is correct. The box office has to be aware when something goes out, so that 2 days later, when it hits one of the newspapers, that 500 people are going to be standing in line. When we announced the fact that single tickets went on sale for Al Pacino, we had lines going out the door and down the sidewalk, because people wanted to come see Al Pacino, and there was a certain time after we were able to accommodate our subscribers that we could then open it up for single ticket buyers, and that's something that it has to be coordinated. We're not a little entity within ourselves. At each one of the other areas, development people have to know what's going on, the box office people and the house people, and so it's all very precisely orchestrated or choreographed, if you want to put it that way, so that everybody knows what's going on.
How important, in a positive sense and a negative sense, are critical reviews?
In our particular case, since we run our shows as long as we do, reviews are very important to us. It's that nice little last boost. We usually have our press in on the first 3 opening nights of whatever the event is. Some papers pride themselves on getting it in, if not the next day, then certainly the day after that. And we can always see an impact that a review has in the box office. Either if it's a positive review, then obviously a lot more people either calling or standing in line to get tickets, or if it's a negative review, then things sometimes, slip a little bit. But
like every day is election day.
Oh, that's it. And you know what that is, right?
A restaurant man once told me, he said people come in unannounced to do critical reviews of restaurants, unannounced and uninvited. And I asked the question of whether it was welcomed or unwelcomed, and the answer was it's worth the risk, because if you get a good review, it's a tremendous success.
You bet.
So the reviews are very, very important.
Yes.
You talk about 3 different nights when you have the press come in. Are the casts up on review nights more than others? Is the the tone of the performance important?
The cast likes to know when press is coming in. They don't want to know specific details as far as, is the New York Times here tonight, or is the Stamford Advocate, or any of the other papers. They like to know when the press is going to be there, and I'm sure there's always that extra adrenaline flowing. But in a situation with The Madness of George, I mean, that was such a pageant. And I think those actors were up every one of the performances because it was it was their first time on stage in the United States. And of course, George III was the one who was the king when he lost the colonies, and that's what the whole thing was about. When we saw it in London, there were lots of lines about the American colonies that the six of us from the United States got a hoot out of, that the Britishers weren't quite sure what our reaction was or why we were reacting the way we were. And then you could really see a difference. When you're talking about the difference in audiences, that was really a major difference.
Was any of that changed?
No, not at all. No.
You didn't do anything so you wouldn't hurt any feelings.
Oh, no.
It wasn't necessarily politically correct.
Right. No. But it was such a moving, as I say, it was like a pageant. And then with Tommy coming in and doing everything that he did, it was just fabulous. So it's I think we're really on top of everything right now.
One of the things that I do like to do on this program is to make sure that if people want additional information, that they know what number to call. So perhaps we can tell our audience what the telephone number at the box office is.
The box office number is area code 203-325-4466, and it's open Monday through Saturday from 10 to 8, and on Sundays from 12 until 6.
And just to make sure that people get it, would you repeat that number?
203-325-4466.
And what we're going to do is put that number up on the screen in the closing credits so that people who didn't have a chance to write it down could do that and find out more information. So you're planning way ahead now, and you know what's going to be happening a year from now and maybe even 2 years from now.
Yes.
And you got to have your finger on the pulse of what people will be liking then.
Oh, yes. And we can see trends. There are certain things that are on Broadway now. Well, the other thing that we were talking about is the importance of regional theater for development of Broadway, so that some of the things that are on Broadway now were actually developed at regional theaters on the West Coast or in the Midwest, or came out of the Humana Festival that's in Louisville, that all the producers will go out there to see all of the new works that are in the embryonic stages and what have you.
It sounds like a great season and great years ahead, and I thank you very much for sharing it with us
Norman.
today. My guest today has been Richard Pheneger, who is the Director of Marketing and Media Relations at the Stamford Center for the Performing Arts. Sounds like a great season ahead, and I'm sure you'll look forward to having a good time if you get there. I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. Until next week at the same time, enjoy yourself.
Well, I'd love to hear